All right, step number 2, or option number 2, solve by factoring. The steps, if you want to write them down, the GCF, always try and find the greatest common factor. It makes your life a lot easier. Make sure that your equation is in standard form. Remember, standard form is everything is on one side of the equal sign. Always try and have your leading coefficient, that's the number up front, a positive. So sometimes you have to do the inverse operation to make sure you get a positive one. Some of you know that my next step, because I'm a little lazy, is it pretty? Once it's in that form, I might be that lazy guy and use this thing. Remember, if you're using this thing, make sure you understand what those numbers mean. Because if you don't, it won't help you. Then the basics are, we try to find numbers that multiply together to give me the end term, that add together to give me the middle term. And we want to set each of those factors equal to 0 and then solve it. We have a sample problem here, and if I look at my notes, it says greatest common factor. Is there a common factor between 2, 1, and 6? There is not a common factor. I have to get this in standard form. That is, I got to get the 6 over to that side. I can't just move it. I have to use what's called the inverse operations. I subtract 6 from both sides. 2x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. Now, some of you that like to use a calculator can plug this in and get a number. This one is going to be a little different. If you remember, we called it the slide and divide method. I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. X squared plus x, and 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, equals 0. I need to now find numbers that multiply together, and remember, we use this method, or whatever works for you. Numbers at factors of 12 that give me 1. Well, factors of 12 that have a difference of 1 are 4 and 3. And what we had said was, if this is a subtraction sign, then the biggest number follows the middle term, so that would be plus and minus. So my factors are x plus 4 and x minus 3 equals 0. Those are the factors of this. Oh, but wait, because we multiplied by 2 up here, we have to divide by 2. X plus 2 and x minus 3 halves. Now, in the past, we had, made that prettier, made that 2x, but again, we're going to solve here, so I don't need to do anything fancy schmancy here. I set each of these equal to 0 and solve. X plus 2 equals 0, subtract 2 from both sides. X equals negative 2, that's one of my answers. X minus 3 halves equals 0. I'm going to add 3 halves to both sides. X equals 3 halves. If you're a calculator plugger in person, you would have got that answer. Those are the two answers, and as you notice, we always will have two answers, a positive. Well, not true. We will always have two answers for that when we take a, nope, that's when we take a square root. All right, super.